look at your 7.1.3 worksheet, doing more problems on factoring. Now this has kind of a combination of what we were doing yesterday along with factoring out some greatest common factor. So you look for what all the terms might have in common. So like if I look at number 1, I can ask myself, what does negative 3x cubed and minus 33x share? Well, negative 3 goes into both and they share an x. So when I factor both of those out of each term, I'm left with x squared plus 11. Now, since this is not a difference of perfect squares, you are finished. On the second one, same process. I asked, what do these three terms share? Well, they share a 2. So I have x squared minus 20x plus 100. Now, when I get to this stage, I do have to ask myself, are there factors of 100 that add to 20? And there are. Happens to be minus 10 and minus 10. Minus 10 times minus 10 is 100. Minus 10 plus minus 10 is negative 20. So number 2 is finished. Number 3, I asked myself 4x squared plus 9x, what do they share? These two only share an x. So I have 4x plus 9 left, and that one is finished. Number 4, 5x squared minus 20. These have a 5 in common. I'm left with x squared minus 4. Now when I look at x squared minus 4, it's a difference of perfect squares. So it'll be x plus 2, x minus 2. So sometimes you have to do multiple steps here. So make sure you're checking. On the next one, they have a 2 in common. So I have x squared minus 2x plus 1. So then I ask, what are factors of 1 that add up to negative 2? Well, that's x minus 1 and x minus 1. And I'm good to go. On number 6, they do have a 2 in common again. So I have x squared plus x minus 42. Well, this one was like one that we did yesterday's worksheet. Factors of negative 42 that add up to 1 are x plus 7, x minus 6. Number 7. Ooh, we got a cubics. Notice how they all at least share an x. So I have an x on the outside, x squared plus 8x plus 15. Trinomial. Are there factors of 15 that add to 8? And there is. 3 times 5 is 15. 3 plus 5 is 8. Next one. Ask myself, what do they have in common? Well, they have a 4 and an x. So I can pull out a 4 and an x, and I'm left with just x minus 6. X minus 6 is at the lowest possible, so we have number 8 finished. Number 9, 14x to the 5th minus 24x to the 4th. Well, 2 goes into both 14 and 24. They share 4 x's. So I'm just left with 7x and then minus 12. 7x minus 12 cannot be reduced any farther, so I'm finished. This one, they share a 3 and an x. So I'm left with just x plus 3. Now, one of the things you can do, which I really haven't been doing here, but I could redistribute and check, do I get my answer? It's a great way to do just a quick check just to make sure everything is correct. All right, number 11. 8 and 32 do share an 8. They also share an x. So when I pull out the 8 and x, I'm just left with x squared, and I have minus 4. Ooh, x squared minus 4 does factor. We did one just previously a few problems ago. X plus 2, x minus 2. So watch for that, because that will pop up from time to time. Ooh, number 12 is a pretty hard one here. It's probably the hardest one on this sheet, because this is where we have to play a little bit of a game. We have to, when I look at this, 5 and 18 and 9 don't share any number in common. However, it still might factor so that I have a binomial times a binomial. So I have to think of factors of 5x squared. Well, my only choices is 5x and x. Now I have the number 9, so I have to think of factors of 9 that add up to negative 18. However, whatever I put here gets multiplied by 5x. So my first thought is my only choices really are negative 1, negative 9, negative 3, negative 3. I'm thinking the negative 9 is not going to get me there because if I put it here, it's going to be really huge. So I'm going to start with negative 3 and negative 3. I can do a little check here. Negative 3x, negative 15x. Does the middles add up to negative 18x? And yes, they do. Now tomorrow we'll show you another process that will work all the time, so we're not always just doing this guessing and checking. All right, number 13, 36x squared plus 63x. Let's see, a 9 goes into both those numbers and so does an x. So I'm left with just 4x plus 7. That one's done. All right, the last one is very much similar to number 12. Got to do some guessing and checking here. So 3x squared can only be 3x and x. So now factors of 2. Well, if I put a 2 here, 2 times 3 is 6, too much. If I put the 2 here, that gives me 2x. I'm forced to do a 1, because 2 times 1 is 2. So I do the outsides, 3 times x is 3x, or sorry, 3x times 1 is 3x. Add those up and I got 5x. That's my middle term. I have it factored correctly. All right, so that ends your assignment for today.